Welcome back to Longhorn Hip Hop. I'm JD Harris and this is the release day. Each week I'll be reviewing a new album or mixtape from some of the hottest artists in the game. This week we'll be taking a look at Seen It All, the Autobiography, the 7th studio album from Atlanta rap icon Jeezy. To start, we have Holy Ghost, which is in my opinion the best song on the album. It tells a story and it does it well. Jeezy takes the Lord's Prayer into his own thug context and basically prays for those who trespassed against him. Jeezy talks about the thoughts going through his head as a hustler and how he has to find out that a relationship with his friend just won't work. The line that sums up his feeling towards his friend the best are, "Lord forgive him, he got that thug in him." Next, we have Seen It All, the first single from the album, which is obvious as to why it was chosen. Jeezy and Jay-Z go back and forth with their stories of their hustling days. The bass is heavy and it has a sample that provides contrast from those sounds very nicely. Jeezy and Jay go back and forth and do it very well. Jeezy talks about being the man and being in charge when he was hustling. He talks about moving work while making sure that he doesn't get caught up. He explains how he was balling and how he helped his young boys at the time. Jay talks about growing up, seeing the streets, and deciding that his life would revolve around that, and how he was doing big things in the game at that time. He discusses the highs and lows of his empire back in his past life. Next, we have Bees Like, which is a great song about regret and learning from the lessons that you learn in the streets. Both Jeezy and Boozy speak about having lost their friends to life in the streets and having to deal with the consequences. Jeezy spends more time talking about how he lost friends to the streets without them even being directly involved in a conflict, just circumstances of where they were. Boozy goes more into the regrets and the pain that he had to deal with while he was incarcerated, including not being there for his family and his woman, and being focused on the things that happened to him and having to see those from a distance. He ends by mentioning how he learned to deal with those things by turning to God. Next, we have No Tears. Jeezy brings in Mike Will to ensure a beat that makes a splash and enlists Future to perfect the sound that only Future can make work that well. Jeezy tells how he had to deal with one of his closest friends who was different after getting out of prison, seeming like there was some snitching that took place or some sort of loss of loyalty. Future has a few bars towards the end about how he had a friend that he went through everything with for the first time, legal and illegal. Both how losing him ended up being for the best and how having him there was something he'll always remember. Neither artist seems sad about losing the people that weren't with him because they weren't 100% there for him. Finally, we have How I Did It, or Perfection. It's a track that does a great job of closing out the album. It has a similar feel to Jay-Z's Encore song from the Black album. Jeezy reflects on learning the game from his uncle and the first time that he had to ride by the cops knowing that there was work in the trunk and the thoughts going through his head while he was stressing as they had to go through this checkpoint. He then recaps his days of being the man in the game and how he had to do it on his own. He expresses being thankful for being out, but being appreciative for the lessons that he learned while he was there. The deluxe edition includes 3 tracks that weren't on the regular album, and the best of those is Black Eskimo. While the song lasts only a few ticks over 2 minutes, Jeezy manages to cram a hit into that time frame. He explains his successes in the game and his prowess for moving snow, hence the title Black Eskimo. The song is where he places the most blatant line about his influence and success that he's had in both worlds. If snow say something, y'all better listen up. I definitely listened up and I enjoyed what I heard. Overall, the beats don't always stand out from one another, but they're all solid. Most of the features do really well, including Jay-Z, Boosie, August Alsina, and Future. Others, like Rick Ross, fell a little bit short of stunning. His lyrics can get a bit repetitive, but that's what Jeezy does. It's all about the streets. He's mastered the craft of rapping about life in the trap and what it's like looking at the other side. The album didn't capture me like his debut album, Let's Get It, Thug Motivation 101 did, but I knew what to expect going into this one. For the most part, Jeezy didn't disappoint and puts out a solid project. I'd give the album a very solid 3.5 out of 5. It could be graded higher depending on the mood that you're in when you're listening to it. The replay value is moderate to decent, and I definitely recommend checking it out.